Okay, artists, so this is the first part of drawing our Sandra Silberzweig inspired portraits, and we also talked a lot about cubism art. So I'm going to walk you through how to draw your portrait, although you'll all get to make some of your own choices when it comes to that. So the first thing we want to do is we want to find about the halfway point of our paper. We're not going to fold our paper though, we don't want to have folds, but we're going to look for about the halfway point, and then a little bit lower than that we're just going to put a little mark. Okay, so I'm going to put a little mark on my paper, and it's a little bit lower than halfway. That is going to be where the chin of your face is. Okay, so that's the first step. Now from that halfway point, we are going to make two curved lines that go all the way up to the top corners of our art. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to draw nice and light so that if I need to erase, I can. I'm going to curve all the way up to the top, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and your face does not have to be perfect. It's okay if your lines wiggle a lot. See, my line wiggles here, and that's perfectly okay. So now that we have the shape of our face, we are going to draw our neck. And you can make the neck skinny, you can make it wide, but in most of the examples I showed you, we looked at, they had kind of thin necks. So I'm going to draw two lines coming down from the chin area for the neck, and then I'm going to go ahead and curve those off the edge of my paper. You could make them go straight down, you could make them go straight out, however you want to make those shoulders look. I'm going to curve mine down to the corners of my paper. And I will have a bunch of her artwork presented around the classroom for you guys to look at to get ideas for making these faces. Okay, so let's go ahead and design our faces. First, we are going to divide our face in half, and that's going to include a nose shape. So starting up at the top, we are going to draw a line that comes down, and then about halfway in, I'm going to curve it in like that, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish that line going down, and this is our nose. Now, she had some different shaped noses. Again, I'll show some examples, so if you want to make a different shaped nose than that, you can. Have fun with it. So let's go ahead and make our eyes. Most of the eyes in her art are kind of ellipse or almond shaped, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, or think of it as like a football shape. I'm going to make one of my eyes lower than the other eye. Since this is kind of cubism inspired, things do not have to line up and be perfect. And then within the eyes, we definitely want to add an iris and a pupil. The iris is the colored part of the eye, and the pupil is the black dot in the center. And then think about adding some eyelashes. She had some really fun eyelashes. Some of them were straight, some of them were curved. So go ahead and have fun with those eyelashes. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and work on the mouth. Again, lots of different shapes you can use for the mouth. So you can look at some of the picture inspirations, but you can also watch my example and see how I make the mouth. We want to add some details and some extra geometric shapes to our faces to make them a little more fun. So she has a lot of things, like she added circles often to the cheeks of the faces that she drew, and sometimes she would use geometric shapes to make things like eyebrows. So maybe I want to add some triangles to make an eyebrow. Okay, and that is as far as I'm going to go. So again will have a bunch of pictures for you guys to look at to get inspiration for adding details to your faces. But one thing I want to say is we don't want to make it too detailed. We don't want to make anything too tiny because we are using oil pastels to color these. And our oil pastels, they're a little bit thicker. They're not as skinny as like colored pencils or skinny markers. So we don't want to draw super teeny tiny details, or we will have a hard time filling these in. So that is going to be part 2 of the video, which I'm going to film now, but you guys will probably watch on another day, is coloring these faces in, okay? So we already did an exercise on blending colors, but I want to review that over again. Okay, so to tips I gave you for blending colors are to pick warm colors. So yellow, orange, and red are warm colors, and those three all blend really well together. Or you can blend cool colors. So green, blue, and purple will blend pretty well together. But again, green and blue are gonna blend better. Green and purple, maybe not so much, but blue and purple will blend nicely. Or you know that a color will blend. Or the other way you can pick colors is if they are next to each other on the color wheel, then you know they will blend well together. So yellow and green are next to each other, so they blend well. Orange and red are next to each other, so they blend well. Yellow and orange, they blend well. So these color wheels are in the classroom, and if you need to look at them to figure out what colors go nice together, check out the color wheel. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Our goal is for each shape that we made to have at least 2 colors in it. So looking at my artwork, I have a lot of shapes. I have the circle, I have this circle, but each of these circles has a triangle. So each of those triangles are their own shape. So I'm gonna try to put 2 colors in each of these little triangles. Each of these triangles, I'm gonna try to put 2 colors in there. The mouth, this has 1, 2, oh, nope, it's actually 4 shapes because of the line that goes through it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes, okay? So we're looking at every section as its own shape and using different colors for each of those sections. So let me show you what I mean by that. So for example, if I want to start with this little section of the mouth, I'm going to start with my yellow. So I'm going to color half of that mouth yellow. And then I know yellow blends well with green and orange, or even red because it's a warm color. So I'm going to do the other half of that mouth with red. Feel free to peel the paper back on these pastels if you need to, and don't forget that you can clean them with a paper towel if they are dirty, or even a Kleenex, a tissue works well. Okay, so my one section of my mouth is yellow and red, and then I'm going to use yellow and red for this section over here too, but I'm going to do the yellow on this part, and then I'm going to do red right here. So there we go, my lips are finished, and I'm really happy with the way that that blending looks. Now, don't worry about if you go outside the lines a little bit. We will be using black at the end to add all of our outlines and make everything really pop. So we are not going to use black to fill anything in. Black is only going to be for our outline at the end. So I'm going to continue filling in all of my shapes using at least 2 colors. White is a great blender. You can use it as one of your second colors. Like in this section, I did blue and then I did white, but it's also good for blending colors together. So adding it as another layer on top. I'm using it right now to blend my blue and my green eye. Think about, so right now I'm filling in a large shape, a large portion of the face. That is all one shape. And I wanted to make sure I picked a color that would not blend in with the things I had already colored. So on this part of the face, I had already used a lot of cool colors like blues, purples, and greens. So now for the area around those shapes, I'm choosing warm colors, which are yellow, and I'm also going to do orange. So I'm going to do half of this yellow, and I'm going to blend orange from this section. And I added a line right here too, so that this part is going to be its own shape. And I'm going to fill this part in with orange. Okay, so this section is done. I want the pupil to be black, so I'm going to leave that for now, but I filled it in as much as I could. So I'm going to continue filling in the other areas of my face. Down here, I have a large section where I'm going to choose cool colors because the lips are warm. So I want to contrast it by using cool colors. So in this section, I'm going to show you guys a larger area where I just use one color and then I use white to be my second color. So here I did green, and then I'm just going to use my white to blend into the green and kind of pull a little bit of that green into this empty area. So this part's going to kind of stay white, but you know, it'll have little bits of green mixed into it that I'm pulling over from here to here. But it's mostly going to be white. I'm going to blend the white all the way into the green section. You don't have to press super hard when you're doing this, medium pressure. Okay, so I am fully done coloring the face, and I know it looks a little messy right now, but don't worry, that black outline is going to help make everything look cleaner. So I got to do my background and the neck, which I made striped. So I'm going to work on that now. You can absolutely place your hand on top of your artwork to hold it in place when you're coloring so it doesn't smooth around. Just don't smudge your hand around because it is oil pastel and it can definitely smudge. So if you put your hand on it, just place it down and don't move it around. Out that I almost made a mistake here. I was going to fill this whole section with green, but then I realized my face right there is green and I don't want to put green next to green. So I had to make a change in my plan to switch this side over to blue. So just really think about what colors are going to be next to each other when you're choosing your colors. And if you make a mistake, you can always stop where you are and make a change of plan, which is what I just did. Okay, whoa, my hands are tired, but that is the end of part 2. And next we will watch part 3, which is going to be adding some patterns and our outlines. So here we are in part 3. If you guys look at Sandra's artwork, she loves to add lots and lots of marks and things on top of her solid colors to add cool textures and cool patterns. So that is what I'm going to do next. So you don't have to do this in every section, but in a couple sections just to give it some more visual interest. Definitely think about doing it if you have a big solid background. So on this side I have green, so I'm going to go ahead and take a blue and I'm going to make just some marks going throughout the background to add some texture and visual interest to this background. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, but I'm going to switch my colors out and I'm going to use green in my blue section. Okay, so I added some dots and lines and patterns just to give it a little more texture and visual interest, and we are finally on the last step, which is our outline and any black details. So I had said I wanted to make the pupils on my eyes black, and we always use black pastel last because it's such a powerful color and it smudges so easily. We don't want to risk running our arm over this and smudging all of this hard, beautiful work that we just did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully, without rubbing my arm on this, start tracing over all of my pencil lines with this black pastel. Sometimes it does take 2 passes and you really need to go slow on this step because once it's on there, there is no taking it off. And if your pastel gets really crumbly like that, take a paper towel and wipe it off so that it's nice and smooth. It's going to make it much easier for you to make cleaner lines. Difference from this side of the face to this side, that black outline, it's so important for making this artwork look finished. And again, sometimes you do need to go over the outline 2 times. So really take your time on this step. All right, artists, I am fully finished with my artwork. I am so excited with how it came out. Actually, I just thought of one thing. I think I want to add a little nostril line there so that we can tell that this is the nose a little bit more. But okay, now I'm done. I love it. I'm so excited. Oh, I noticed I forgot to outline. See, we gotta check. We gotta make sure we didn't miss any little details. I missed this outline here. Now I'm done. I'm so glad I took my time on this because I'm super thrilled with the way it came out. And this is going to be an art show artwork for you guys. We're gonna have this one in our end of year art show. So really take your time and make the best work that you are capable of. All right, have fun with this one, students.